Welcome to Ask Pastor Tim with your host, Tim Jones, Kingdom Ambassador, Spiritual Advisor, and Purpose Advocate. We're here to present wisdom, knowledge, and understanding on important topics through conversations that matter. Our goal is to answer your questions about purpose, destiny, relationships, mental and emotional wealth, human potential, and many other important subjects. We invite you to ask a question, share a thought, or suggest a topic for us to address. Follow us at Getting Clear with Tim Jones on YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram. And don't forget to kindly like, share, and subscribe to our channel. Hello and welcome to Ask Pastor Tim. I'm your host, Tim Jones, and I welcome you to episode 25. We are nearing the end of the year here, and so much going on in our world, so much we can talk about. I want to strategically talk about a topic tonight. And before we do that, I want to invite you to tag someone, hit someone up with a message, let them know that Ask Pastor Tim is on with another subject that we'll be talking about tonight, something that involves your future. You know, I like to talk about the future and what's going to be happening in the future. I think that we have a lot to say about what our future looks like. And with everything going on in the world right now, our topic tonight is of the utmost importance for us to understand and be able to take advantage of, be able to maximize our potential. We must understand this topic and this particular word that we'll be talking about tonight. We must understand what it is and how it is to be utilized as we move into the future. The importance this word will have in our future. For many, it will determine what they are capable of doing and or accomplishing. And so it's very important. I want to invite you to like, share, and subscribe. Subscribe to our channel on YouTube. That's where all of the Ask Pastor Tims live. You can audit any of them there. Any of the Ask Pastor Tim episodes that you may have missed, or that you want to go back and re-audit. They are at Getting Clear with Tim Jones on YouTube. So go there, like, share, and subscribe. Follow us on YouTube, on Facebook, and Instagram. All Getting Clear with Tim Jones. All right. So we're going to jump into this subject tonight. We're going to be talking about confidence. Confidence. What is it? Number one, we're going to define it, what it really is. And then we're going to talk about how do you lose it? Or can you lose it? How do you get it? Can you go out and get it? Can you do something to get it or get more of it? We're going to talk about that perhaps in a different way from the way you may have heard it talked about previously. And so before we do that, I want to say a brief word of prayer here, because this is so important that I want to make sure that what I am saying is not just my thoughts about it. I want to make sure that I'm open myself up to the wisdom that comes from above. So, Father, we thank you for another opportunity to come before your presence and to come before your people. And these, my brothers, my sisters, those who will be listening, those who will be hearing, those who will stop by and just peep in, and those who will stay a while. Father, I thank you that you always know how to show up with what we need when we need it the most. So I pray that tonight's topic, for those who need it the most, that they will be the ones who stop by and that they will hear what they need to hear, that will help them, enable them, empower them, encourage them, Lord, to move a little closer to the purpose, the design that's on their lives, that they will be empowered to absolutely finish their assignments here in the earth. So we thank you and we bless you and we give this time to you in Jesus' name. Amen. All right. So let me see here. Thank you to all of those of you who have joined and will be joining. So tonight, this topic, confidence, we have this topic has been talked about a lot, right? I remember when I was first starting out in business, there was a book that was recommended to me, a book called How to Win Friends and Influence People. And there was another book that was introduced to me as well, and it had something to do with confidence. I was trying to remember the title of that one. How to have confidence and power. How to have confidence and power in dealing with people. And so it was very, very good books. Very, very good books, and very instrumental to me in the beginning, learning how to see myself differently, learning how to present myself, learning how to discover what I had to offer, and learning how to be comfortable going before people who were more astute than me, who knew more than me, who were at higher levels of life than me. Understanding how to present myself in a way that someone would listen, someone would hear, and someone would value what I had to say and what I had to offer. And so those books were very effective for me. And then I began to write myself. My second book, A Dreamer's Diary, which is a book of some of the most powerful masterpieces. I call them masterpieces, but these are poetic devices. Some of the most powerful poetic devices you'll ever see or hear or read. And you say, well, man, you're kind of biased to be saying that, aren't you? Perhaps. But the reason why I say it is because these masterpieces have been life to me and life for me. And not just to and for me, but for to and for others. Because I've developed an entire curriculum using the spoken word, using poetry, using words that give life. In fact, we coined a phrase a long time ago that we call motivational poetry, because that's kind of the flavor that was coming off of what I was writing when I began to write it. And by the way, let me just say this, give this little brief testimony here, and then I'm going to share a piece from A Dreamer's Diary with you. But when I began to write, I've always loved poetry, okay? From, my earliest memories. I remember watching this game show called The $10,000 Pyramid. Anybody remember that game show? You might be dating yourself a little bit. But it was a wonderful game show. A gentleman by the name of Dick Clark was the host. And he would have, celebrities that would come on, and then regular or ordinary people, non-celebrity people would come on, and they would help them to win money, okay? And so this particular game show, there was, most game shows, they're what it used to be anyway. There would be like regulars, celebrities that would frequent the show. And there was a gentleman by the name of Nipsey Russell who frequented the $10,000 Pyramid. Well, I loved the game show itself, but I especially loved when Nipsey came on, because Nipsey was a poet, right? And he would always end the show, Dick would always ask him to end the show with some kind of poetic, encouraging word. And he would always have one, man. And it would always rhyme, and it sounded great, and it was inspiring, and I thought, man, this guy is awesome. And Nipsey was one of those kinds of guys. He always had his head up. He always looked like he was optimistic, he was always smiling, and he always had something encouraging to say. And so I was inspired, to say the least, by Nipsey Russell. And so those are my earliest memories of my fondity for poetry. And so when I began to write my own poetry, that kind of came out, that flavor, that Nipsey Russell kind of encouraging, inspirational flavor came out in what I was writing. But during the time that I was writing it, man, I was in a place. At one point, I was in a dark place, and I was struggling, and trying to find my way. And the poems were helping me to find my way. That was my way of keeping my sanity. And I would share what I was writing with a friend of mine, Merrill McQueen, a good friend of mine at the time. And I would share what I was writing with him, and he said, "Man, this is good. You should put it in a book," right? And he kept saying that to me, and I had no interest in, I had no desire in writing a book. I was writing for my own peace of mind. But every time I would share one with him, he said, "Man, you should put this in a book," right? After the 107th time that he said that to me, I started to seriously consider that. And so I ended up putting, I think it was like about 60, somewhere between 60 and 70 poems in a little book. I called it a chapter book. It was a very small book of poetry. It was 8.5 by 11. So I really wasn't trying to, market this. It was just me capturing what was happening in those moments in words, and then me capturing those words, packaging it, mostly for myself at the time. Well, that went on to become more than just something that I cherished and held on to for myself. It became life-sustaining and life-giving to me, because those pieces, man, they spoke to who I was. And I didn't know at the time, but the Lord was literally using that poetry to give foundation to my purpose. How about that? And like I said, I didn't know that was what was happening, but I kept coming back to those pieces, and those pieces never left my life. And so even today, some of those pieces, I can pull on them at any moment, and they do the same thing in me because they have that flavor on them. Motivational poetry is one of those things. I say it has 4 pillars. Encouraging, okay? It's inspirational, it's elevating, okay? And it uplifts the spirit, okay? So those are the 4 pillars of motivational poetry. So when I write from that perspective. And I wanted to say all of that because, like I said, what I do with poetry is foundational to everything I teach. Okay, everything I believe about purpose has been validated in some kind of way through poetry in my life. And so I use those same pieces, that same poetry, to help others to gain a sense of who they are, and a sense of their own worth, and a sense of their own value, and a sense of their own uniqueness, and a sense of their own right now importance in the earth. Okay, there's so many people who don't believe, who don't understand how vital their existence right now is. And if you ever begin to look at yourself, if you ever begin to look at your life in that way, it changes everything for you. Everything. Okay, so I'm going to share this little piece with you here before we talk about confidence. And this one's called Perseverance. This was one of the original 60 that I wrote, right? Perseverance. It says, "Don't you dare throw away your confidence, for it is a reward of great recompense. Don't be afraid to experience pain, for it holds the passion that will keep you in the game. Always let patience be fully expressed, so that you may endure the entire process. Endure with faith, having great substance. Accomplish God's will, and you'll receive every promise." That was Perseverance. It's in the book A Dreamer's Diary. You can find it on Amazon. A Dreamer's Diary with Tim Jones. This was the second edition, because I redid it, repackaged it. Remember I told you first one was a little chap book, and then I came back with more intentionality and repackaged it into what you see here. So confidence, right? Is it really what we think it is? So many times we think about confidence, you think about your ability. And so many times when people will say, or they look at someone and they feel like, or think, or believe, or that person portrays that they're confident, what they really are, what they're really doing is they're putting their faith in something. And their faith is in something that they feel certain or assured about. Usually it is the ability to do something or to accomplish something. It's usually tied to some set of skills or innate ability that someone may have. Okay. And so it's usually uniquely tied to ability. The problem with that is that if it's tied to an ability, what happens when you lose that ability? Do you also lose confidence? If your confidence is tied to that ability, that's a resounding yes. Okay? And we've seen it happen. We've seen it happen to so many people, who were good at something, and then all of a sudden, for whatever reason, they were unable to continue being good at it. Or something happened and they were no longer able to do it. Case in point. Well, when I was in high school, right, I was a star football player, star running back. Had a banner year my junior year, and was coming back in my senior year as one of the highest ranked running backs in the state of Georgia. And and I didn't even like football. I just happened to have a gift or have a skill set that allowed me to be good at it. Okay. Well, as I continued to play, of course, when you're good at something, yes, your confidence is going to be raised or elevated in that particular area. And it can tend to spill over into other areas as well, which is good. Okay. And so in my senior year, man, we started out with a blast. In the first 4 games, I already had, well over 500 yards in the first 4 games. So I was well on my way to over 1,000 yard season. And back then in high school, that was a big deal. If you had, and in my junior year, I had 1,100 yards in that season. And this year I was going to blow right past that. And so I got hurt. I got injured in the 5th game of the year. And the injury, I tore ligaments in my knee. And it was one of those things where it wasn't just a little one. It was a big tear. It was a big injury that was going to put me out for the rest of the year. And not only was it going to put me out for the rest of the football season, it could possibly put me out for some of the basketball season. Now, basketball I loved. Okay. And so there I was, man. I didn't even realize how much of my confidence was tied to my abilities in football. Because like I said, I didn't really even like football. I played it because they wouldn't let me not play it. And my mother didn't tell them that I couldn't play. If she had just told them I couldn't play, they would have left me alone. But she didn't tell them that. She says, well, if he wants to, he can play it. I didn't want to, and I told them I didn't want to. But they convinced me that of what an asset I was to the team, and anyway, so I ended up playing. And then when I got hurt, my confidence took a really big hit, right? And it was shocking to me because I didn't even really like football that much. In my mind, if you had asked me, to create that scenario, and if you had asked me how would I feel, I probably would have said, it'll be all right. No love lost with football. But that wasn't the case at all, because there were so many things that had come into alignment and had come into my sphere and into my realm of possibilities because of my skill set in football. Where I was going to go to college, okay, all of a sudden it shifted from probably where I would have been thinking about going had I not had the skill set in football. But because of the football skill set, it gave me possibilities college-wise that I may not so much that I couldn't have done that, but I wouldn't have saw myself that way. But because of my skill set in football, I saw myself as someone, who could be a Division I college football player. And my coaches all agreed. So that got in my head. And when it got in my head, it began to affect me without me even understanding or knowing. So my point in all of that is that I didn't even realize how my confidence was tied to my ability to play a sport that I didn't even really like playing that much. But it was, and it affected me deeply. And it affected me because it affected me. It was crazy. Anyway, so that's what happens, is confidence gets tied to an ability. It wasn't until much later that I discovered what confidence really, really was, and how it really has less to do with your ability. So you may say, well, if it has less to do with your ability, what does it have to do with? What do you have confidence? What are you going to be sure about? What are you going to be certain about? What are you going, what is it tied to if it's not tied to your ability to do something? Man, you can build a house, and you build a house well. People come to you and they want you to build their house because you build houses so well, right? And so it causes you to be confident in your ability to build a house. But then if something happens and you're no longer able to build the house, then what happens to your confidence? If your confidence takes a hit, okay, then you have to ask yourself a question. And that question is, why, first of all, why was my confidence so intricately tied to what I was doing? And how does that impact who I am? Okay? Why was my confidence so intricately tied to what I was doing? And how does that impact who I am? Or even better, how I see myself? Wow. That's big. Because confidence has a whole lot to do, right, with how you see yourself. Or whose eyes you see yourself through. I want you to think about that for a moment. Whose eyes you see yourself through. When you look in the mirror, right, and you see what you see. Okay? You see a body. You see a shell. Right? But do you really look at who's inside of that shell? Do you really consider the one that you're really looking at? One of the things that I do in some of my coaching, I encourage people to learn certain pieces, say certain things to themselves while looking in the mirror. And not just looking in the mirror, but getting as close as you can get to the mirror and looking directly into your own eyes. The closer you get to the mirror and you begin to look into your own eyes, you actually will see yourself. There's a little man sitting in in the midst of your pupils. That's you. You're looking at yourself. It becomes a window. You're looking at yourself. And so I encourage people to talk to that person, that little person who's in the middle of your pupils. Because that's the real you. That's the one that thinks highly. That's the one that is confident or not. That's the one that when you lie down at night, that's the one who's controlling or managing or not the thoughts that you are having about yourself. That person in there. That's the one who has either enough information to support you with thoughts, or a lack of enough information, which causes your thoughts to betray you rather than support you. So what do I mean by that? Because one of the questions was, okay, what is confidence? And can it really be lost? I'm going to go back and talk about how you get it. When you lose the ability or the opportunity, that's a different word, right? You can say, well, I lost the ability to do something. Or you can say, I no longer have the opportunity to do something. Now, you're saying the same thing, but the mind processes that different. Because in one case, you lose something. In the other case, you just move from one thing to another. Because if you no longer have one opportunity, you now have another one. And true confidence will transfer from one opportunity to another opportunity. True confidence. And that is confidence that's not based on ability, but confidence that is based on purpose and original design. I got a big cup right here, right? A big mug. What do they call these things? It's not a mug. I forgot what they call them. But my daughter got it for me. Okay, so I could drink water all day long. It has a designer. It has a design. And it has a purpose. Okay? If this mug had a mind, a will, and some emotions, okay, its confidence in itself would be based on its design and its purpose. Why? Why do you think that's so? Why should confidence be connected to design and purpose? Because this is responsible for doing what it was designed to do. It is a created thing. We are created beings. We were created. We were designed. We were fashioned and formed, okay, in the image of the one who created us. We were specifically and particularly designed to be first, and then to do, and then to have. It's right there in the mandate on man. Genesis 1:27-28. Okay? The mandate, the fivefold mandate: be fruitful, multiply, replenish, subdue, and have dominion. Okay? It's right there in that. How man is designed to operate. Now, God is so amazingly amazing that though we all have, okay, that stamp, that purpose stamp on our lives, how we accomplish it, how we go about it, that's where our uniqueness comes in. Because he made each one of us different. Fingerprints, right? He made each one of us uniquely different. And so each one of us is carrying something that represents not our ability, that represents the one who created us, his ability to accomplish things. Because we are just vessels. This is just a utensil. The one who made this made it for a reason. So every time I'm able to utilize this in the way it was designed to be utilized, this mug is fulfilling its purpose. It's doing what it was created to do. And because it's doing what it was created to do, it is fulfilling a need, providing a service. Okay? We are created beings. And I know we're in a season, we're in a time, we're in a dispensation, we're in a moment, culture, the cultural place we're in now. I'm in front of this camera, That's kind of how things are now. Everybody's in front of a camera. You know, either they're in front of the camera trying to promote and help others, or they're in front of the camera trying to promote and help themselves, or both. But everybody's in front of a camera. It's nothing for you to walk down the road and see people, taking selfies, because we're the selfie culture. Think about it. It's a selfie culture. It's a selfish culture. It's a selfish culture. That's the culture that we're in. And so our thinking usually gets shaped by culture, which is a little bit of the cart going before the horse. Because actually our thinking should be shaping culture and not culture shaping our thinking. So, back to confidence and what it really is. So it really becomes, you think about that piece that I read, right? That piece was based off of Hebrews, 10:35, right? Yeah, that's what it was based off. Hebrews 10:35. Confidence is a reward. In other words, confidence brings you something. What does it bring you? What do you get? Confidence becomes the thing you use to make sure you get to the end and accomplish what you were supposed to accomplish. Not because you did it in your own strength. At no point is your confidence for you to do it in your own strength. Your confidence is for you to remain vigilant and to remain mindful of not just who you are, but whose you are. And most people who are confident, if something threatens their confidence, the first thing they do is begin to tell them, do you know who I am? Right? So we do. You don't know who you're talking to. I remember I started out, I was working in a bank, and as a bank teller. I got a lot of bank teller stories. But anyway, I was working in the bank as a teller, and I was brand spanking new. And this gentleman, who was a long time customer of the bank, someone who had a whole lot of money in the bank, and felt like that he just, with his whole lot of money, people should know who he is and respect him and, be, cowering around him and handle him a certain. And I didn't know who he was, right? I didn't know him from Adam's house cat, as my mother used to say. I treated everybody with respect. But this gentleman was taking advantage of me because I was new. And then he went on to try and bully me. And when I didn't allow him to bully me, anybody ever been bullied before by somebody who thought they had power and that you were supposed to just cower because of their power, right? When I didn't bow or didn't allow him to bully me, he looked at me and he said, do you know who I am? And I said, do you know who I am? I could have been fired that same day. But something rose up in me. Like, you're no better than I am. You don't know me. You're saying, I don't know you. You don't know me. And and even more so, you don't know whose I am. Not only do you not know who I am, you don't know whose I am. You don't know who's pushing, who's behind me. So that's real confidence. When your confidence is attached to the one who made you, the one who designed you, the one who created you. See, God created me to write. So when I write, I'm not writing to my glory. I'm writing to his. Because he created me to write. Okay? Not only did he create me to write, he created me to communicate something when I write. So that's not to my glory. That's to his glory. Right? So my confidence is attached to him. Now, if that's the case, my question becomes this. How do you get confidence? How do you get to that? Right? And this is what I say. When someone asks me, how do you get confidence? Can you tell me how to get confidence? Can you help me to get confidence? I say to them, I can't help you to get something you already have. If you are here, you have confidence. You just don't know how to utilize it. What I'll do is I'll help someone to recognize, to realize, to come into awareness of the confidence that is there for them. Because whatever it is you've been called to do, whatever it is you've been created to do, whatever it is you've been designed to do, confidence is there to get it done. You simply have to tap into it. So how do you get confidence? You discover who you are. Because when you discover who you are, confidence comes with the territory. Nobody can ever cause you to doubt your worth or your value when you really know who you are and what you're carrying. You tend not to compare yourself to others when you know who you are and what you are carrying. So, can you lose confidence? Not if you truly have it. You can't lose it. Because true confidence will simply move from one opportunity to another. If this season for me playing football is over, that means it's a season for me to do something else. It's a season for me to move now. My energies that I was putting into playing football, now I have an opportunity to take those same energies and put them somewhere else. Oh, that's all I know. That's all I know how to do. Well, learn how to do something else. Discover who you are, because you're not a one-trick pony. I promise you, you're not a one-trick pony. And God is so masterful at how he does what he does. He can take one thing about you and cause you to be able to package and repackage, to purpose and repurpose that one thing, because that one thing has a multiplicity of applications. True confidence has a multiplicity of applications. So if you ask me, can you lose your confidence? I tell you, no, you can't lose it. And if you ask me, how do you get it? I'll tell you, I can't help you get something that you already have. I can help you understand what you have and how to utilize it, what it's for, what to do with it. So confidence is not what we thought it was. It has to do, is intricately tied to your reason for being, what you've shown up with, your innate abilities, your there's that word again, your built-in undeniable truth. See, that doesn't go anywhere. That stays with you, and it stays with you forever. Listen, my audio book that actually is a course now called How to Redesign Your Original Design and Discover Your Path to Greatness. That course is at getclearinstitute.com. In that course, one of the modules is called, it deals with confidence. Let me see, what is that module called? Here, I have to look it up. I have to look at it. Where is that thing? I want to see what it is so I can say it just the way I said it on there. Sometimes I forget. There it is. The critical mass of confidence. That's it. I encourage you to get that course, man. Get into that course. Go to getclearinstitute.com. Sign up for that course. Get in that course so you can discover, among many other things, how to utilize confidence. Really begin to see it for what it is, right? And understand it on a different level. Okay? I believe that things like depression, anxiety. Now, don't get me wrong. There are levels of depression and anxiety that are so deeply embedded in people and in their psyche and how they think and how they do and how they see themselves, that it takes a multifaceted approach, okay, to be able to help people who are in that place. However, there are many who are dealing with and suffering from depression and anxiety, right? That it's really not that deep. Not so deep that you can't begin to say, I want to say this a particular way because I can say it in one way and it sounds like, okay, well, that's just too easy. Easy, no. Simple, yes. There's a difference. Okay, something can be simple. That means it's not rocket science. Okay, you don't have to figure it out. You know, it's 1 + 1 = 2. Just do the math, right? That's simple. Now, it may not be easy because of all of the attachments that you have to old behavior, that we have to old behavior. Our attachments to old behavior make simple things hard. I'm going to say that again because I know what it sounds like on the other end of my voice. Our attachment to old behaviors many times makes simple things hard. So if that's true, then we have to look at the attachments and begin to dismantle our attachments to old behaviors that we know are not serving us. Okay. Anyway, so Get Clear Institute, how to redefine your original design and discover your path to greatness. The critical mass of confidence. Okay. Critical mass is the point at which something shifts or changes. It's a critical mass. This is the point at which it becomes something else. Confidence has two of those places. One is in the beginning. We call that the break point. I'm sorry, not the break point. The strike point. The strike point is when it began. When did your confidence begin? When did it start? It started, it came with your creation, with your purpose. The minute that you were assigned to come into the earth, or here's a better word, I like to use this word, tagged. The minute you were tagged and sent into the earth, you came with confidence. That is the strike point. The other critical mass of confidence is the break point. That's the point at which you lose sight of that confidence. That's why the Bible says, don't throw it away. It didn't say don't lose it. It says don't throw it away. Okay. Don't throw away your confidence because it's a reward. It will reward you. Okay. So the two critical mass points. The strike point, when it began, when you first got confidence, it came with your assignment, the assignment that's on your life. Okay. The break point happens because you misunderstand or mishandle that confidence, or you never really came into awareness of that confidence. Happens all the time, right? Child grows up, comes into a family. You don't know what family you're going to come into. You have no control over who you're born to, the surroundings you're born in. No control over that. You could come into an environment full of negative people, and negative people say negative things and they act negatively. So you could be raised in an environment that was fully and negatively charged. And in a negatively charged environment, okay, now you still have opportunity. Okay, but in a negatively charged environment, the chances that you are going to be negatively charged yourself is very high. Now, there's some people who come out of a negatively charged environment positively charged, right? So that doesn't happen for everyone, but the chances that you will also be negatively charged is very high. And when negative begin, because people have to help you to understand who you are. And those who are around us are designed, our caretakers, our parents, whoever it is that's responsible for helping to lead and to guide us and to steer us. Their responsibility is to help us discover who we are. Their responsibility is to help us to understand that we came into the world. When you were born, it was not that you should be worthless, but that you would be worthwhile. It was not that you would have a negative impact on the world, but a positive one. It was not meant for you to have less than the best, but the very best life has to offer. You were predestined in love to succeed before the world began. That means that your destiny was determined before you were born. And the decision as to where you should end up and what you would become, it wasn't a toss in a hat. It was a well thought out plan to bring you to the full manifestation of expressed love through the maximized potential of your predetermined purpose. You came here with confidence. It's just tied to the reason that you're here. I hope you get that, because that's important. So if you have not yet, enrolled in how to redefine your original design, I am encouraging you to do so tonight. If this subject, this topic, if you have not understood confidence the way I have described it to you tonight, I encourage you, I challenge you to enroll in that course and begin to re-educate yourself as it concerns confidence. You say, well, who are you to tell me what confidence is? Listen, my life speaks of it. Everything I'm saying to you is not stuff I read in a book. It's not stuff I conjured up myself. My life has taught me. My life and the Holy Spirit has taught me. So listen, and that's a part of my gift. Wisdom is a part of my gift. It's one of my gifts. So if you choose not to hear and not to listen and not to follow the advice that I give you, that's on you. I can say that with a smile, right? Because I know who I am and I know what I have to offer. I know what I bring to the table. Okay? So go over to Get Clear Institute, enroll in that course. Hit me up if you have questions. And by all means, join us again when we could reconvene here for Ask Pastor Tim, episode 26. Okay? I hope you have some questions. If you do, put them in the chat, man. Let me see them. You can hit me up with your questions later. Sometimes people just hit me up with questions later. That's cool. It's fine. I'm good with that, right? I'm answering some questions now that I'm going to respond to, and I'll respond to them sometimes in the next live, or I'll respond directly back to you. Just depends on what the situation is and what the question is, of course, as well. But that's what we're here for, man, to help to develop all of our ability to maximize our potential. And that means that we have to have not just information, we have to have the right information. We have to have not just any wisdom, not just man's wisdom. We need wisdom that comes from above. Why wisdom that comes from above? Wisdom that comes from the one who made us. There's no higher wisdom than the wisdom of the one who made us. Okay, that's the wisdom that we need, particularly in this hour that we are in. If we are going to forge forward, if we're going to move forward into the future, I heard one prophet say it this way. He says, we don't predict the future, we create the future. I embraced that when I heard it, because I said, yes, that's the opportunity that we have, is to create the future. What future will you create? Whatever future you create, it begins here and here. The thoughts that are going on in your head about yourself and what you are saying, what you are publishing, what you are portraying coming out of your mouth about yourself, about your surroundings, about the future. That's how you shape, that's how you create the future. If you want to know more about how to create the future, if you want to talk further about that, hit me up. I'd love to have a conversation with you about that. All right, so that's all I had to share with you tonight. Again, I want to invite you to follow me, follow us, Getting Clear with Tim Jones on Facebook, Instagram, and on YouTube. Go over to YouTube, Getting Clear with Tim Jones, and like, share, and subscribe. All right. So thank you so much. I want to do this because I haven't been doing this, but I want to begin to do this every time, right? So you guys know, you've heard me talk about a signature greatness conversation and how important it is to have one. Okay. Vital to have one. Okay. So I want to make sure that I say mine every time. Okay. So here's my signature greatness conversation. It goes like this. I'm one of the greatest, most influential, prosperous, and generous leaders of my generation. I am a wise man. I live by the wisdom, knowledge, and understanding that comes from above, and therefore I show up in the world as a solution to the problems my gifts address. I am bold as a lion, and I have everything I need to be everything I am and produce everything I can. My life is relevant because I'm intricately and perfectly aligned with my original design. And I am right now fulfilling the purpose that brought me into existence. These are the words that go through my mind. These are the words that show up as my support system. When things get rough, when things get tough, these are the words that run in my background. What words are running in your background? If you don't have words like this that empower you and support you, can I help you to develop a signature greatness conversation? I'd love to do that. It will change your life. All right, enough of that. So again, thank you all for joining. Share this with someone. Okay, you know somebody who's struggling with their identity, with their confidence, with how they see themselves, with the future. So many people now, with everything going on in the world, it becomes difficult, okay, to have confidence when the world seems so bleak. That's because confidence is not what we think it is. And when we really gain an understanding of what it really is, we see the opportunities that these perilous times are presenting to those of us who've come into contact with who we are. So I'm going to leave you with this, as I always do in closing. I encourage you to live full and die empty. You want to make sure that you are finished when you finish. Thank you again for joining me. Good night, everybody.